On Story is brought to you in part by the Alice Kleberg Reynolds Foundation. Innovative funding since 1979. On Story, presented by Austin Film Festival. Welcome to a look behind the scenes of the creative process with some of the film industry's most prolific writers, directors, and producers, as well as a showcase of short films from the region's most promising filmmakers.
And so he was telling me about it, and he said, you know, it's kind of cool. It's a second act. Now we're going to do 3 acts. You know, he didn't know that when he made Star Wars. And second act's always the easy part. You know, you don't have to wrap anything up. Everything's left hanging. That's the most fun there is, writing the second act. And he said, we're going to have this little character, and he's got big ears, and we got to figure out a way for him to, he's sort of a Zen master. But we needed a way for him to talk that is unusual. And we talked about things, and, you should talk backwards, and, gets things out of order, and that was fun. Just creating something, just total fun. It wasn't really based on anything, because you knew that you wanted the basic truths that he was going to be telling. Were pretty simple, and they're out of all religions, and certainly I had a little background in Zen. And then he said, Darth Vader is Luke's father. And I said, no shit.
And I actually love Mel, and to his credit, he's not in any way what he's. I know it offends a lot of people to even talk about him being in movies now. I'm still a huge Mel Gibson fan. I'm not a fan of the character work that they did in the later movies, because literally they save a cat in number 3, and it sort of becomes this sort of thing where I think by 4 they were even having trouble showing up for work because they wanted to generate real characters, and the scripts weren't letting them. Vulnerability, it seems to me, is very important, because vulnerability implies 2 things. You'll see what the character's really about if you glimpse those moments in which they're most vulnerable. Also, it shows you what they're going to try to erect a wall against, and what they're going to, the ways in which they try to hide from you, their vulnerable spots, their weak points, is what's interesting.
When I was 19, I did a guy in Laos from 1,000 yards out. A rifle shot in high wind. Maybe 8 or even 10 guys in the world could have made that shot. It's the only thing I was ever good at. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I see you. Hey, Riggs.
Yo.
You really like my wife's cooking?
No. See you tomorrow.
Basically, the thing that separates a writer from other people is we're all surrounded by this stuff, and everyone here, and these walls and those lights. But if you want to write, you have to start distilling. You just have to start selecting what you're going to pay your attention to. And from all the sort of chaos that swirls around you, you end up making a slice of your reality, of your story. Out of all that happens to you, you've kind of boiled it down to what you want to see and the point you want to make. And hopefully it feels honest and true, and not manipulative. For me, it's a process of day by day combating the part of my mind which is waiting just to tear this down. That I don't deserve this. There's a shaming part of me, and I think a lot of writers have this because it's what you're trying to exercise in a way or you wouldn't have been a writer. I liken it to, say, walking a path like this aisle right here, and off to this side is the light, and off to this side are the dark woods, and as you walk that path, there's, in the woods, hey, look over here, hey, they're trying to whisper to you, And you can't look. You guys go straight ahead. If you look, if you engage them, if you meet their eye, they'll drag you in. So keeping your own personal demons at bay, to me, is a process of just letting the story be so exciting that it deserves to be told regardless of whether you're a dickhead writing it. You know?
Yeah, who the hell are you and stuff?
I'm just here to tell the story. I'm not here to take the credit, you know? God takes the credit because the story existed already. I would watch these directors come in and talk this great ball game, and I'd be on the set and I'd just like the Emperor's Clothes and point and say, well, he just ran right over that beat. That's a beat change. The character's supposed to take a moment there. Or it's something blow up and they go, where are you going to go from there? You just blew up something. You should have built to that more gradual. And so I thought, you know, rather than, it's the equivalent of building up a resentment and doing nothing about it. And I said,
That it? No, that's the other corpse from the last guy who stayed here.
Off. Was there a gun?
Yeah, it's right here. Perry, these sons of made me. I'm in town for 2 days to know who I am and where to find me. Come on. It's impossible. Yeah, it's totally nuts.
Back stairway.
I forgot to tell you how many's alive she thinks her sister was murdered.
Come again?
Never mind.
I said, on this next one, I direct on paper anyway. I write, the hell with people say don't call the shots. I agree, don't say tracking shot. But basically, you better, on paper, reveal how you want that scene to feel and taste, you know, to the people who are reading. And having done all that work, it didn't seem like much of a leap. And I had a wonderful mentor, which I suggest also, is that you find somebody. Mine was James L. Brooks. Through him, I just said, I want to do this so that at the very least, I can only blame myself for whatever excesses and screw-ups exist. And I think that's what everyone says to some extent. If you want to direct, you're basically saying, I'm not going to hop off the train before the goods get to their destination. I'm going to stay and guard them with a shotgun, is basically what you're doing. So that's the reason to direct, is to protect material that you've worked and slaved so hard to get perfect. And you just don't want somebody with a cavalier attitude to come in and impose an arbitrary vision on it. I agree with what Randall was saying about how there's a time to play and there's a time to sort of lock things down. It'd be unfortunate, I think, to start bolting down ideas before you've had a chance to spew enough and edit enough that you sort of get that sense of having access to your subconscious, like he was saying. On the other hand, I think directing does force you to be a little bit more responsible. There are things that a writer will tend to do under the notion that the director will, he'll fix it later, you know. You'll write a lazy scene about a kid making breakfast, say, you know, as he spreads the jam and proceeds with the breakfast task. In his eyes, we see a ferocity emerge. He becomes a man in that breakfast. You can't film that, you know, so you learn, if I'm going to have to do that, I better make sure I know what shots constitute, you know, the actual manhood emerging. So it's a process of being responsible to what you will eventually have to do yourself.
My father was a salesman, and he said to me when I was quite young, he said, people will remember almost nothing of what you say, and only slightly more of what you do, but all their lives they will remember the way you made them feel. My father would never go anywhere without saying hello and shaking hands to everybody. I mean, the guy that swept up the warehouse, he knew his name. He showed respect, he did that. And that sense of whether a person felt honored or insulted, and you think about it in your own life, that is certainly true. For me, in Secretariat and in any story, I'm trying to find an image that touches the heart of the audience. There's a scene in which the groom of Secretariat notices that Secretariat has eaten his breakfast, his first meal of the day before the Kentucky Derby. And the story is set up that Secretariat had an abscess in his mouth, and they were considering scratching him from the Kentucky Derby. But the day before the race, he actually ate, and his groom saw this, and we were planning to shoot this. It was written as the groom discovers this in the stall. And it's one of those examples where, you know, you're going to shoot a scene in a horse stall, and you don't know where you're going to put the cameras, and you don't know how you're going to make them interesting, and you've been in the stall a lot. And the character who had played, who was playing the groom was an amazing actor, Nelson Ellis. He's in True Blood. We had the Kentucky Derby finish line built, and we were about to tear it down. And my production designer, Tom Sanders, said, "We're going to tear this down, Randy. If you want anything else, do it, because I'm going to tear it down. I can't rebuild it." And I thought, all right, go get Nelson. And I wrote on the back of a, you know, legal pad some dialogue, and I gave it to him. And we had the scene already where he just sees the bucket empty. And in this scene, he walks out onto the track of the Kentucky Derby at dawn, alone. Nobody, this is the man nobody notices. He's the groom. In the original screenplay, he was just, all he did was lead the horse around. But in this story, he's the one that loves this horse more than anybody else. And he sees that he's eaten his food. And he walks out onto the track with no one around at dawn.
Hey, Kentucky! Big old Red done ate his breakfast this morning, and you're about to see something that you ain't never even seen before. So get ready!
Everybody in the audience stood up and cheered, because it was like the forgotten guy. You know, the guy that loved this horse and was shouting it to the world, though nobody else was going to hear it. And that was one of those things that, for me, that from that thing, about remember how you make people feel, and remember that the guy who's the most ignored is maybe the one with the biggest heart and has the most to say. It's, you know, it's not like you can apply that to every screenwriting situation, but in every story there's always that character that even you have forgotten, who may have the thing to say that's gonna get at the truth of it all.
Hi, my name is Angela Torres Camerena. I'm a film director here in town, and I write and direct Frente Noreste, Northeast Front, a film about a mother who has to save her family out of extortion from drug dealers in Mexico. I came across this story when I traveled to Mexico in the summer 2009, and then I saw how people were affected by drug violence. So I felt that I really needed to do something about it. I wanted to feel like real life, because documentary also has its own aesthetics that are manipulating the reality. I think that's the magic of documentary. But I wanted to feel like you were there. And so I remember this piece of the film where she's in the street and she's walking, and the editor who helped me out was saying, like, no, you just take that out. Like, you don't need a sequence like that in a short film. That's for a feature. And I was like, no, because I want the people to feel like they're in Monterey, and to walk with her through the streets and to see what's around, so they get the sense of where they're standing. As an audience, but I want to bring the audience into the film. I want people who watch Frente Noreste to feel the same fear and desperation that Esperanza, who is the lead character, goes through, hoping that at the end they're moved by it and they want to do something about it. Coming up is my film Frente Noreste. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching.
Sí, muchas gracias. Fue un placer atenderle. Hasta luego.
Impera un narcocaos en la ciudad de Monterrey. El enfrentamiento entre militares y sicarios...
Levanté el pedido con Ecopac.
Oye, qué bien.
Oiga, ¿y sí me va a dar la comisión?
Claro,
¿verdad?
cuando nos paguen.
Bueno, don Joaquín, que tenga buen fin de semana.
Muchas gracias. Esperanza.
Ajá.
Se están poniendo las cosas bien difíciles afuera. Necesitas tener mucho cuidado.
Sí, gracias.
Soy el Cerro de la Campana, al sur de Monterrey, Nuevo León. Celso Piña, aquí presente, compa.
Hola, niños. Hola, Juan. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Que te fue mal en el trabajo con el tío Iván? Juan. ¿Qué hiciste?
Yo no hice nada.
¿Entonces?
Me pidieron 50,000 pesos para mañana. Si no los entrego, me van a matar.
¡Rodrigo! ¿Dónde está tu hermano?
Esperanza, ¿qué haces aquí?
No, bien que sabes, no te hagas pendejo. Gracias a que tu hermano dejó encargado a Juan en el negocio, por no pagar una cuota de protección, tienen amenazado a Juan. Y claro, no localizamos a Iván.
Yo no tengo idea de dónde esté.
Entonces vamos a tener que pagar 50,000 pesos.
¿Qué? ¿Y qué quieres que haga yo? ¿Qué quieres, que te firme un cheque o qué?
Ayudar a los hijos que dejaste abandonados.
¿Por qué mejor no te vas? ¿Mm?
Está bien difícil la situación. Si quieres, te puedo ayudar con 1,500 pesos, pero es todo lo que tengo.
Pues te puedo prestar 1,000 pesos. Mira, ahorita no te puedo ayudar.
¿Estás segura de que nadie te siguió? ¿Y estás consciente que con esto ya no te voy a poder pagar las comisiones? ¿Y si sabes en el peligro en el que estás metida? Ustedes están poniendo las cosas muy feas allá afuera. Ayer precisamente asesinaron a 2 estudiantes de la universidad, adentro del campus. Estamos en guerra aquí prácticamente.
7 personas fueron torturadas y asesinadas detrás del Teatro Municipal esta tarde. En sus cuerpos se encontraron mensajes cosidos en...
¿Puedes apagar eso? Súbanse.
¿Bueno? No, ya le dije que no sé dónde está. ¿Por qué no me cree?
Diga,
Ah, cabrón, Juan, ¿te hiciste vieja de pronto?
soy la mamá de Juan, dígame qué se le ofrece.
Aquí no negociamos con viejas, pásame a Juan.
Si quiere el dinero, tiene que ser la negociación conmigo.
Mira, la bronca era con el puto de Iván, pero como tu hijo no lo localiza, pues ahora te toca pagar 50,000 pesos para mañana. ¿En cuánto valoras la vida de tus hijos?
¿Mis hijos?
Aquí no estás tratando con pendejos, sabemos que tienes 4 hijos. Juan, Raúl, David y la Raquel, la chiquita. De muy buen culito, por cierto. Mira, me acaban de pasar tu dirección. Abasolo 1227 Oriente, Colonia Refugio. ¿Ahí vives o no?
Tiene que haber una solución, papá. ¿Y si me voy de la ciudad?
Todos lados es igual, hija.
¿Qué es eso? Son cohetes, mijita. Ya duérmete.
Ahí te encargo que no vayas a hacer ninguna pendejada o a jugar con mi intelecto porque nos vamos chingando a cada uno de tus hijitos hasta que pagues. ¿Explico? ¿Explico? Tengo a mis elementos armados con pistolas 9 milímetros y cuernos de chivo, pendeja. ¿Quieres que te empiece a demostrar con hechos y no con palabras la verdad? Aquí se cambiaba de casco, señora. Ya hasta me estaban cayendo bien.
Dígame a dónde tengo que ir.
Tranquila, que te estamos viendo. ¿Estás oyendo? Síguete derecho hasta la carretera.
No me voy a salir de la ciudad. Si quiere el dinero, tiene que ser por aquí cerca.
Ay, pero qué lista saliste, mendiga. Da vuelta a la derecha. Vas a ver una placita comercial. ¿Ya la viste? Entra al estacionamiento. ¿Ves esa troca roja? Ahí pon el dinero y vete.
¿Y si alguien se lo lleva?
Que lo dejes ahí, más te vale que esté completo. Si no, vamos empezando por Raquelita. Nosotros te llamamos para avisarte si todo salió bien. Señora, fue un placer hacer negocios con usted. Seguiremos en contacto para futuras transacciones.
On Story, presented by Austin Film Festival. A look behind the scenes at the creative process with some of the film industry's most prolific writers, directors, and producers, as well as a showcase of short films from the region's most promising filmmakers. On the next, On Story, writer-directors Shane Black, Lawrence Kasdan, and Randall Wallace.